I find this absolutely fascinating. This story broke yesterday afternoon in the Washington Post that Donald Trump's son, Don Jr., and Jared Kushner had a meeting in the, I guess it was in Trump Tower. This was during the campaign with this Russian lawyer, Miss Veselnikaya, and as I recall, and the story was starting to break as Trump was getting aboard Air Force One in Germany to fly home from the G20. Or maybe it wasn't Germany, wherever, I think it was in Germany, wherever it was in Europe. He was flying home from the G20. And his son was not on the plane with him. But the story was breaking. And so Trump gets his son on the phone. And actually, the way the story broke, apparently, was Kushner's lawyers were looking for meetings that he had had with Russians so that they could include them on the disclosure forms, because Kushner was getting flack for not disclosing all his meetings with Russians. And his lawyers discovered this meeting with Veselnikaya and said, oh, my God, we've got to report this. And so then, you know, so the argument that was made to Donald Trump by Don Jr. and Kushner's lawyers was, let's just tell the whole truth. Let's just put the whole thing out there. Because eventually it's probably going to get out there anyway. And they were organizing and planning this strategy of basically putting everything out there. You know, the fact that Veselnikaya had said, or somebody representing her had said to John Jr., you know, we've got the dirt on the Clinton campaign, and we're going to bring it to you, and this is your gift from the Russian government, all this kind of stuff. That's what it was all about, right? They thought they were getting intelligence on Hillary Clinton. And, you know, which is pretty grim stuff. So anyhow, they're flying across the Atlantic, and Donald Trump is looking at this, and he says, no, let's lie. I mean, he didn't literally say that, but essentially this is what happened. Donald Trump took over the process, and he wrote that original memo to the New York Times, because this was all in response to a New York Times inquiry, you know, to the Trump campaign about, did you guys really meet with this Russian woman and this Russian lawyer? And so Trump authored the lie that Trump Jr. submitted to the New York Times. Now, I bring all this up for two reasons. One, it strikes me that Trump writing a lie to conceal a meeting with a foreign government may well be the thing that he's impeached for. In fact, if I was predicting his impeachment, and I'm not quite there yet, but I'm getting damn close. If I was predicting his impeachment, actually, you know, last week, or maybe it was the week before, I said, you know, within 6 months, there will be indictments from Mueller against Jared Kushner and Don Jr., and Trump will pardon them, and then he, you know, and then in order to avoid him you know, and then he himself will say, screw this, I want to go back to being a billionaire. This is no fun anymore. And he'll resign, and Mike Pence will be our president. That was my prediction. I'm beginning to think that the Russians might put, not the Russians, the Republicans in Congress may actually push that, may actually make that happen. And the key, the thing, and I've said this many times, the thing to watch is Fox So-Called News and average Republicans in the House and Senate. When Fox So-Called News stops pitching everything Trump is doing is perfect, everything is wonderful, Donald Trump, you know, blah-de-blah, and not even talking about things that might reflect poorly on Trump. When Fox So-Called News starts actually reporting on the crimes of the Trump administration and things like this story, Trump will lose his base. When he loses his base, the Republicans, who hate him by and large, I mean, you know, he just tweeted a couple days ago that the Republicans in the Senate were stupid. You think he's making friends? That the Republicans in the House and Senate are going to turn on him. And you will see articles of impeachment come in the House. You know, they'll be prepared by Democrats, but all they need is 30 Republicans to go along with them. And frankly, up until the last couple of weeks, I had been thinking and occasionally saying here on the air, you know, Pence might be far more destructive than Trump because Pence is competent. He's he lies easily. He knows how to manipulate voters. He's been doing it most of his life. He's perfectly willing to lie to win elective office. Eventually, the people in Indiana started seeing through his lies. His popularity was down in the 30s when he was picked to be vice president. But, the Pence could be very dangerous. But now that Trump is provoking nuclear-tipped powers, North Korea, China, Russia, and we'll see what else. I don't know. But now that Trump is actually provoking these countries, I'm very concerned that this man could lead, and look at what's going on in the Middle East, that this man could lead us into World War III. I mean, that's a legitimate fear. So do you think that this would be the thing that Trump would be impeached about? Writing his son's lies to the New York Times. See, this seems to me like clear obstruction of justice. Keep in mind, Bill Clinton was impeached for telling a grand jury that he didn't have sex with Monica Lewinsky. And Clinton's rationale at the time was that the type of sex they had, which was not normal sexual intercourse, he didn't consider to be sex. He thought when they were asking about sex, they meant, doing the thing. And he wasn't with Monica. He was doing another thing with her. And, that was what he was impeached over. What he said to this grand jury, which was perjury. So here is Trump saying to the entire United States via the New York Times, through the mouth of his son, a bunch of lies. I don't see how that is not obstruction of justice. And I don't see how the Republicans won't eventually get to that. So we'll see. As the great Zen master Mike Dirks often said, we'll see. But, I guess we'll see. Your thoughts on this, my thoughts, more of the news today.